Welcome back, ballers. Apologies for the delay. Where's the chat at? Let us know that you guys can hear us. Coffee girl. Thank you, Enthused Dreams. Good to see you. Welcome back, ballers, to the 13th or 14th episode now of Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Cody. Good to see you guys. Cody, Rambo, first and foremost. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Can hear you.
Fantastic. Thank you guys again for joining as always. Like I always say, this is my favorite night of the week. It's such a blessing to connect with you guys every week to talk about whatever we want to. And obviously there's so much to touch on. So without further ado, for the sake of time, let's jump right into introductions. Rambo, if you wouldn't mind, please letting the viewers know, those that may not be aware of who you are, I doubt it, but please let the folks know where they can find and support your work, my friend.
You can find me at patreon.com/thetruthcodes. And I have just one tier. It's $5 a month. There is some free content, so you can join for free. And I'm also on Instagram. So it's The Truth Codes on Instagram.
Spelled exactly as it sounds, right?
Yeah, The Truth Codes, yes.
Yeah, I just put it into the chat as well, if people can't spell. So Susan gave him the Cody champ emoji, the Rambo champ emoji. Where's my emoji, Susan? Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, thank you. Oh, no, that's great. Hey, thank you, Rambo, as always. It's such a blessing to have you in my corner. And the only Decoding with Cody. If you could please introduce yourself to those that might not be familiar with your work. Where can we find you?
Yeah, thanks again, guys. To you, Rambo, AJ. Appreciate you guys and everyone in the chat. As usual, you guys can find me mostly on YouTube, as on the screen there, Decoding with Cody. And then I also have an Instagram and a X account with that, also handled Decoding with Cody. And then I have the Buy Me a Coffee link listed down there at the bottom, buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody. And that's where you can support the work if you'd like. And yeah, thanks again, guys. And I'm looking forward to this stream for sure.
And Cody, to clarify, right? I know you made a post on your YouTube. For those that are not subscribed to Decoding with Cody, his links are in the bio as well of this video. So please make sure to go subscribe right now. Cody, you were saying that as far as a true donation goes, using this link is a lot better than doing like a super chat or something like that, right? Because YouTube takes such a cut.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube takes I think it's like 40%. So I don't know why anyone would want to donate to YouTube.
Yeah.
Or would want to do a super chat to anyone on. They're taking so much of their money. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's the best to never use YouTube as a means of supporting people on anyone, not just me, but anyone. But yeah, I mean, this is the best way for me to get the money. And for most creators, probably they would have their own way of getting the money. And on that note, I did a video today. The guy who makes the calculator that we all use, Derek, he is in a pretty bad situation with his money, or with his house. He might lose his whole house if his foundation is not able to be repaired at all. The flood pretty much took it out, and yeah, he had a lot of stake in that, and he lost his car as well. He lost everything pretty much. I mean, it was luckily it didn't get to his first floor, but it destroyed his foundation enough that he might not be able to live in his house. So he has 3 cats and him basically, but they already started a GoFundMe, which thanks to you guys has already reached almost reached the goal. I think that, I don't know if it was all from my video that I did, but you guys have been awesome in helping him out. It was like an 8K goal, and it's already at 6.5. So you guys, I don't know if it was people from my channel. I'm the only one that made a video about it besides Joseph Aquaviva, but I'm the one that got the most views. So I don't know if people from my thing, or I don't know, but whoever it is, I wouldn't be surprised because my subscribers are super awesome people. And just to be able to help Derek like that is just from my end, to be able to point people there, and for you guys to be so kind. I'm so blessed to have you guys, and I really I really know Derek is appreciative of that. So I just wanted to say that before we get started, because the group of people that we do have watching, even though we don't have a big chunk of the internet watching us, we have some great people in this community and people that are willing to help, and it's really a blessing. So thank you to everyone.
I couldn't agree more, Cody. That's very noble for you to bring that up as well. I did see your video earlier today talking about that extremely unfortunate situation with Derek. You know, my thoughts and prayers go out to you, Derek, with what's going on with you. But hey, maybe right now we can take this across the finish line. Let's close that gap. Cody, if you wouldn't mind, if you have a chance, to maybe put in the link into the chat, and or you could send it to me on Discord as well. That way I can get the word out, at least on my end, for anybody who might not be aware with what Derek's going through.
Yeah, I'll work on that here in a minute while you guys are talking. I'll get that sent over. I just got to find the link, but
yeah, no worries.
But yeah, like I said, you know, I was surprised how much we've already helped him out, and he didn't even set a very high goal really for how much he needs probably, but I'm glad that we at least got him closer to the finish line of something that could help him out. So, because I know Derek helped me out. He's got such a kind, giving heart. He helped me get a computer when I didn't have money to do it, because I don't make a lot of money doing what I do, and neither does he. But he has been so helpful to me, and the fact that he helps us all in this community with his tool that he built. You know, it's all the least I could do to try to help him out. So I'll try to get you that link here in a minute.
I appreciate that, Codes. Yeah. I'll keep an eye out for it. And just shout out to the chat. Like Cody said, we have an amazing community, and you know, we're showing face when people need it most. So thank you guys all who are donating and supporting. I'm going to make sure to do the same once I get that link from you, Cody. I mean, for those of you that don't know me, my name is AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find me at Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball on Instagram as well as on YouTube. I also have a Patreon and Winnable page for those that are interested in my notes and codes and picks before game time for all types of sports, MLB, soccer, football. Football season's right around the corner. I also have 10 books that I've written. If you guys are interested in any of the literature I've written, you guys can email me at wordplaybook with 3 O's in book at gmail.com. You guys can also purchase them on my Patreon. You don't have to be a subscriber, but it is another way to, you know, help financially support me and my work as well. So I appreciate you guys very much. So diving right into it, Rambo, I know you got plenty to touch on with what you've recently been posting on your Patreon. Once again, you guys, it's $5 a month for Rambo's content, the best content in the world, as far as I'm concerned. But I wanted to throw a couple of my 2 cents in here, Rambo. When we were talking about, what was his name? I mispronounced it.
Delaney Walker, former tight end at the time for the Tennessee Titans when he was in the Pro Bowl. His claim to fame, he was actually in a Super Bowl, the Blackout Bowl, for the 49ers when they played the Baltimore Ravens, and there was a blackout in New Orleans. He played in that Pro Bowl for the 49ers.
And he won the offensive MVP.
Yeah,
right?
at the was at the 2018 Pro Bowl. Yes.
Oh, that's right. This is the Pro Bowl, just to clarify, everybody, not the Super Bowl, but still very important. And if you guys didn't catch our last live stream, we were touching on Rambo's last video with that intro of, well, it wasn't the intro of the movie, but the intro of your video of They Live, with the scene when Roddy Piper says, you know, I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. And then we talked about what that reference could be. KODI had a very nice angle on it about the financial situations that are kind of looming throughout the world, and how, you know, a bubble gum, you pop a bubble, right? You blow the bubble and it pops, and then you chew it again, and then you blow the bubble, it pops, and you chew it again. But when I saw this part of your video, Rambo, you know how much I love that wordplay. I just thought it was interesting with the whole bubblegum connection to Roddy Piper specifically, and then you connecting Roddy Piper to Delaney Walker. And it makes me think of that common phrase, right? I can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, right? So I feel like we're getting a little closer with maybe some riddles there. I don't have much else to share other than the Walker with the bubblegum themes that we were talking about there. And don't forget, like Rambo mentioned in last week's stream, that Roddy Piper says that line when he is in a bank. He's in a bank of all places when he says that. So something to keep in mind there. Rambo, this next piece, if you wouldn't mind just giving the Heinz story, because there was a lot to digest, but you pointed out the Andromeda galaxy.
Yes.
Right. And with my love connections that I've always been on, right, this entire year, there were a couple things I thought was interesting about the Andromeda galaxy, particularly the first word, where Andromeda means evergreen, right? So we talked about Hulk Hogan, named after the Hulk, who's green. Green's the heart chakra, a shrub of the heath family, very, very close to the word heart, right? Something to think about. But also, I don't know exactly what Messier 32 and Messier 110 really refers to. But if you just add up those two numbers together, you get 14-2, right? Which is also Valentine's Day, right? The way Valentine's Day is written in the majority of the world. Not to mention, too, that the other part of the explanation of what Andromeda, sorry, was it
Andromeda, yeah.
Andromeda, it's also typically clusters of small bell-like flowers. Well, what does that take us back to? The Liberty Bell, you know? The Liberty Bell touching with the city of brotherly love, right? So, like, that there was a lot just with that word alone, where I was like, there's your love again. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to share that with you, Rambo. And on top of that, I guess, once again, just to give you guys an example of some of the picks that I put out recently, it's been one of my best months pretty much since I've been doing this. But notice that, happy late birthday, Hulk Hogan. What was it? Yeah, yesterday was Hulk Hogan's birthday. Well, what are the odds that the Twins were playing the Yankees on this day? For those that don't understand where I'm getting at with this, notice that there's only one Gematria connection. The Twins could pick up their 37th loss versus the Yankees. But beyond that, I just thought it made a lot of sense to see the Twin Towers, or the Twins, crumble in New York on Hulk Hogan's birthday, knowing all about the WWE history with Hulk Hogan and the Twin Towers, right? Don't forget about Rambo's video pointing out this exact screenshot, hiccups, where he talks about it's all about the love, brother, the trinity of love, all that. But he says, and tear down the Twin Towers. And sure enough, the Yankees ended up winning that game. This same night on Hulk Hogan's birthday, you had the city of brotherly love playing against the Reds. Well, that's funny because, besides green being the heart chakra, what's the other color that the heart is connected to? Red, right? And to me, that was the code. The city of brotherly loves wins on Hulk Hogan, Mr. Love Brother, his birthday, right? So sure enough, the Phillies were down the majority of that game. I had some people share tickets where they bet on the Phillies as they were down, and the odds or the value started going up. So, people believed in the code, and sure enough, notice too that Hulk Hogan died 18 days before his next birthday, where love equals 18 front and back, right? So to me, it just made too much sense for the city of brotherly love to win on Hulk Hogan's birthday, especially right after his death. Steven says the Reds logo kind of looks like the Hulk's mustache. So yeah, I mean, if you kind of twist it, right? That's funny. That's a good one, Steven. The only other two things I had here, just don't forget, hey, here we are on a Tuesday, right? And Hulk Hogan was actually born on a Tuesday, right? So if you go back to 1953, he was born on a Tuesday. Here we are the day after his latest birthday he couldn't get to. And we have this show every Tuesday night. Well, Tuesday is named after the god of war. And I took this screenshot down below here because, Rambo, you were talking about Norse. The Norse god, is it Tyr or Tyr?
Tyr, yeah.
Tyr?
Tyr, yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought that alignment was very interesting for us to be talking about this on this particular day, especially knowing that Hulk Hogan was born on a Tuesday as well. Don't forget about WWE's Raw, the inverse of war. And the last two things I had, Rambo, there was this. So if you notice down below here at the bottom, this is from the official WWE YouTube channel. 110 million subscribers. Like, holy smokes. But there's this show called Are You Serious? Kind of taking me back to Cody's stuff about oh, perfect. Okay, I think Cody's on his way back here. Hey, Codes. Hey, Cody, can you hear us? I feel like I can hear him. Maybe not. Anyways, so
Wait, can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was on mute, but StreamYard kicked me off, and then it wouldn't let me get back on. Wouldn't even let me type in my name or nothing. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you fought back and you're back, dude. It's all good. What we were just touching on is that notice that today is a Tuesday, right? We always have our show on Tuesdays. Hulk Hogan died on a Tuesday. Tuesday's named after the god of war, right? And Rambo's touched on the Norse god Tyr in some of his latest videos. But Cody, I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with this like kind of side show, or like, I don't even know much about this, but I found this just in my research. WWE, they have 110 million subscribers on YouTube. And they have this segment called Are You Serious? And that makes me think about everything you've been talking about with Sirius the Dog Star. But notice episode 42. It's episode 42. War equals 42. And this episode is what's on Hogan's mind. You know? And look at the tweet. Dig up the footage of Hulk Hogan's fist helmet. Fist helmet. Why would I bring that up, Cody? Remember when you and I were talking about the whole thing about studies show that on average your heart is the size of your fist?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's that kind of war thing too, right? Like the fist can also represent war and protest and whatnot. So that was pretty much all I had to kind of kick things off for you guys. So anything else you guys want to add? Cody, I know you were out for a few minutes. No big deal. But yeah, that's all I got so far. Pass it off to you, Rambo. What are your thoughts? Anything?
You talked about the bell-shaped Andromeda plant.
Yeah.
A bell is very common in anything related to transdimensional transition. So it's in various kinds of religious or spiritual ceremonies. We talked about this, remember, when I was on the Occult Rejects?
Yep.
And I talked about the Nazi Bell Project, remember? I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
The Nazis had a real-life time machine project, which didn't stop after World War II because the Nazis didn't lose World War II. Germany lost World War II, not the Nazis. They still exist. And the Bell Project moved over to Argentina, many people believe. And the Bell Project scientists did not come over with paperclip. They were separate. They did not come to the United States or go to the Soviet Union. But the bell in general is used in many traditions for multi-dimensional transition. So so I think there are many galaxies they could have chosen for They Live, because in They Live they have the elites. They actually are from Andromeda, which is another thing with Hollywood. They like to portray extraterrestrials as hostile to Earth. Well, we know who's hostile here. It's humans. The elite are humans. They're not from another planet. They're humans. So they like to portray extraterrestrials. It's more than likely if they are. I mean, the universe is infinite, practically. There's intelligent life. There's plenty coming out on that. They're more likely to be more advanced than humans, spiritually. But nonetheless, they have Andromeda as being the original destination of the elites on Earth. And not just elites, but throughout society, there are these people who are not of this world, originated from Andromeda, and you can only perceive them by wearing these special glasses that Roddy Piper comes across, the sunglasses. The sunglasses helps you to see past the third dimension. So it's all about and so this is a great find that you have, because whenever you have dimensions in general, as a subject matter, you will see bells. You will see the bell image. So this actually is a really great find as far as the Andromeda plant and its bell. I never even thought to look that deeply. And its bell shape. I can see why they chose Andromeda. And the bell. The bell is used in, you'll see it in many ceremonies. Sometimes it's not always a bell, but it's a sound. It could be a gong. Right. Yeah, in some of the Asian traditions, it's a gong. But it hits a specific note. That's the power of sound. It's acoustic. I've done many videos on the power of acoustics. Yep. So yeah, so the bell is used a lot in could be spiritual ceremonies. You're trying to transcend the spiritual realms and time travel in real life. This is a real life project. This is not fiction. The Nazis had a bell project, and if you want to look into that, the best source on that is the work of Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, who did a book called The Nazi Brotherhood of the Bell. And so it's
Brotherhood.
Yeah, Brotherhood. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting term.
Joseph P. Bell, you said?
P. Farrell. That's
P. Farrell.
Yeah, PHAARRELL, I believe.
Makes me think of Will Ferrell, who was in Step Brothers. You know what I mean? Could be something there too. But without getting sidetracked. Yeah, no, thank you, Rambo, for that. I appreciate that. I think Cody missed out on that part. But yeah, Codes, I was just pointing out how the Andromeda Galaxy, which Rambo talked about in his last video, there was some interesting love connections there just because it's an evergreen shrub. The Hulk is green, right? Green, the heart chakra. Hulk Hogan dies from a heart attack, right? And then the second half of it. Rambo, do you know anything about this? Like Messier 32 is above the galactic nucleus, and Messier, I think I'm saying it right, 110. If you add that up together, you get 142, like Valentine's Day.
I think those are other galaxies.
Okay.
So there are multiple galaxies that they know of. So they say.
Kimberly just brought up a great additional observation since we're talking about wrestling. The bell being used to start a match. Ding, ding, ding. Right? Like right before they start.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
You also have and it comes from boxing, the expression saved by the bell. So the bell can save you. Once the bell goes off, you could be in trouble.
Yes.
Once that bell goes off, you're almost, going to be eliminated, but that bell was the term saved by the bell can apply.
Yep. I like that. I'm just going to thank Legato. Thank you for donating to Derek. Let's close that gap. We're very close to that 8,000 mark. I also have the link in the chat, so make sure to scroll up and look for it. I will also add it to the description of this video once we close out. But anything on your end, Cody? Or sorry, go ahead, Rambo.
No, I was going to say another thing about Galaxy. I tied this into the winner of the English Premier League, Liverpool. The season just ended 24-25. They had a victory parade. And at the victory parade, this is a trend. It's been happening a lot. a car plowed into the part of the crowd, and it was a Ford Galaxy. And this, yeah, and in my video, I actually explained the importance of Liverpool Football Club and the city of Liverpool. It's where the Beatles came from, and it's very relevant to a lot of things. They just had their best player. I mean, I guess in this country, for the most part, many people do not really pay attention to the English Premier League. But even among sports fans, they need to know how many Americans are investing in English soccer, the Premier League and lower leagues. The Liverpool Football Club is owned by the owners of the Boston Red Sox. And a lot happens in Liverpool, a lot of major rituals. So everybody paid attention when one of Liverpool's players died in summer, just before going to preseason practice. That was Diogo Jota. And that's when people paid attention. And he died on the anniversary of the release of Back to the Future, which was 7/3. It was July 3rd. Well, he was in the front of the victory parade. It's a big team and a lot of playing staff. So they had, I think, 2 or 3 buses. I think 3 buses. But he was right in front in the front bus. And at the parade, just when their bus went by, a Ford Galaxy ran into the crowd. And you remember that. So I think that's connected to this. New Year's Day 2025 started in New Orleans on Bourbon Street with a Ford F-150 plowing into the crowd. And it's been happening. It's been happening a lot. There's the recent one in L.A. or a car. It wasn't a Ford this time, but a Ford. Speaking of at least Wisconsin, anyway. In city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, there was I think that was 2 years ago. There was a Christmas parade where this time it was a Ford Explorer plowed into the crowd, into the parade, actually, members of the parade. So this thing with Fords hitting people, that's been a trend. So the Ford Galaxy, which ties into Liverpool Football Club and their victory parade, I think is related to this Galaxy theme, Andromeda and the Galaxy theme.
Absolutely. And there's also the money themes, right? There's the money theme, and it goes back to what I kind of opened with Delaney Walker, Milwaukee, right? So there's that themes, and there's so much more about it. But hey, Cody, anything else you want to chime in?
Not specifically on Andromeda, but the Bell. I've talked about the Bell, and that was a good point that the lady brought. I forget what her name was, but she talked about the Bell starting the mass or the match. And don't forget,
sometimes it starts a mass too.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, it just reminded me of WrestleMania 40, where Cody Rhodes won in Philadelphia with the big bell on the front of the thing, and then also reminded me of the car things that Rambo was just talking about. I've tied WWE to that multiple times because, in fact, the Christmas one that happened where the young kid died, WWE has did a whole documentary on that, connecting that kid to a wrestler named Braun Strowman. He lives in Wisconsin, and Braun Strowman was part of this documentary they did with this kid who got killed in the car attack. And then also, there's been multiple car attacks in Germany in the past year. Like, it seems like one of the main countries that keeps happening, in like multiple ones. And there's one German wrestler on the whole WWE, and he was tied into at least a couple of the ones I did. I did a few decodes on that, but yeah, I mean, there was even one. I think it was in Germany. It was a Christmas market in Germany last year that got hit by a car also. And think about it, a market. The car hits a market. Mercury is the god of transportation and markets, so it was a big Mercury thing. But yeah, I think that's all I have on that. But I was trying to think what else I wanted to say, but I don't know if we're on the topic of the other stuff yet. But I wanted to talk a bit about the the Milwaukee themes and what Rambo had brought up also with his Miller time. If you guys didn't, from like a month or so ago, he did that Miller time, connecting to Michael J. Fox and Guy Fawkes Day and the Miller Lite. Well, you know, the Brewers, when I think of Miller, I think of the Brewers baseball team.
They play in Miller Park.
Right. And then the Brewers, you know, something's brewing, you know, like that's what I think of when I also think of them. And of course, they have also the basketball team, the Bucks. So is something brewing with the Bucks, like the money? That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then what just happened, of course, to Derek in Milwaukee, with the flood. You know, flooding is also a current, rivers, currents. As Derek had, it's crazy too, because Derek had just done a decode 4 days ago on the Texas. He mentioned at the end of his video, he mentioned the Texas floods and how it was connected to Milwaukee, because Milwaukee just had called up a player in July right after the Texas floods named Vaughn. I can't remember his first name, but his name was Vaughn. And last month, Derek had covered this because Stevie Ray Vaughan, who was from Texas, died in Wisconsin, where Milwaukee is. And then right after that Texas flood, the Milwaukee Brewers brought up this guy named Vaughn, who started tearing it up out of nowhere, you know, and has been on a complete hot streak ever since that. And then we get this in Milwaukee, as the Milwaukee Brewers are, I believe, the best team in baseball. And
yeah,
so
Steven says that they're on a 9-game winning streak right now.
Yeah, and yeah, so they're the best team in baseball, pretty much. They're on a 9-game winning streak, and we get this flood. And as I brought up before to you, AJ, how this all kind of ties back around is that Hulk Hogan and all this flooding in Milwaukee happened around his birthday. His most famous moment for predicting the Twin Towers collapsing was in Milwaukee. I mean, what's the chance of that?
Oh my
And
God, man.
so you got that, and don't forget so the main event, which he made famous, which I talked about in my last decodes about this. The first one was not in Milwaukee; it was in Indianapolis, at the Market Square Arena. Markets again, and that was where the $1 Million Man stole the championship from him by paying off the referee, Hulk Hogan, and Andre the Giant, the guy from France. He got the championship and then gave it to the $1 Million Man. That was the first main event. The second one was the one in Milwaukee where he predicted the Twin Towers collapsing. So those were the first two main events, tying back to the year 1988 and 1989. But then you had the death of this guy from the Bad News Bears in the news. He died on the 25th of July. Right after Hulk Hogan. And he was famous for being in baseball. We're talking about the Brewers, right? And he used to, well, I forgot to mention, the guy who they just signed that was playing for the Brewers, Vaughn, he used to play for the Cal Bears. And the Cal Bears, back to the Bad News Bears, well, first of all, California has the bear on their flag. But the Vaughn guy has played for the Cal Bears. That connects back to the Future. That all takes place in California. They have the bear on their flag. California equals 88, like 88 miles an hour. But yeah, so Vaughn played for the Bears, and then we had this death of the Bad News Bears actor, whose last name was Star, which connects to Sirius, but could also connect to any star, like the constellation of Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, which has the Big Dipper, which is the Big Bear or the Little Bear. And Rambo touched on the Milwaukee connection to the bear and to Saturn and to Michael J. Fox. So what I'm saying is, like, it's all so connected, like it's crazy. But I forget what I was going to say. Oh, then we have this news that Trump's meeting Putin. And there's a whole thing going on right now with Putin and Trump, you know, and Russia is known for the bear. And they're meeting. And I need to look this up. I forgot to look this up, but I'm pretty sure the constellation on the Alaska flag is the constellation Ursa Major. I'm pretty sure, which is the Great Bear. And then going back to the markets to finish this off, a bear market is the markets are down. Or a really bad bear market could be like a Great Depression. So, and I think I forgot a few things, but I just kind of wanted to tie all that together live so people could kind of hear. And what's crazy about this actor who died, he died in Carbondale, right? Carbondale is where the X eclipse crossed, almost at the exact, I think it was actually Little Egypt, they call it. And he died in Carbondale, the very place that those eclipses crossed. And he died 1 year, 3 months, and 18 days after that eclipse in the same city, which is the Revelation 13:18 talks about the mark of the number of the beast being 666. That is a number of a man. And carbon 12 is made up of six protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. And carbon 12 in Sumerian gematria equals 666. The guy died 1318 after that, which is where you get the 666 in the Bible. And he died in Carbondale, like where the eclipse crossed, which is just south in Illinois, right? And that's just south of Wisconsin, so it's kind of close to the same area. But in Illinois, they have the Chicago Bears, they have the Chicago Cubs, both Bears. So
yeah, and Cody, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no, we talked about this offline. I mean, something I talked about on my stream last night was about this Seattle Kraken mascot getting attacked by a bear. The bear actually didn't attack the mascot from the video I saw, but it was in the news. It was one of those more oddity stories. But you and I were talking about like this. So this story took place in Alaska, and you mentioned how Putin is meeting with Trump in Alaska, and Putin is very heavily tied to the bear, the Russian bear, and all that kind of stuff. So, and this happened over the last week.
Could you bring up the Alaska flag, or just bring up Alaska on Wikipedia and then look at the picture? I think it states there what's on the flag.
Right here.
Yep, exactly. Yep, that's it. It has the Big Dipper, which is Ursa Major. Yep, the bear. And, of course, connecting back to Polaris. I think this all does connect back to Polaris, which Rambo did also mention in his decode about this. But, yeah, but what's the chance? All this bear stuff, and then now the next big event that's coming is the Trump meeting in Alaska, of all places. So I'm a little bit afraid for the markets this weekend. I don't know. The meeting in the bear market, the markets are overinflated for sure. So I don't know. Soon, if it's not happening this weekend, and don't forget they're meeting on the Jesuits day that they founded, and the Jesuits are very connected to all this, of course. So no surprise that there's a bear market theme here. And, you know, if Russia does something against the U.S. dollar, it could cause a lot of stuff. So I wonder if there's going to be something with that. And Putin himself is just a weird-looking guy, man. I always think that whenever I see that guy. He's such a weird-looking guy.
They always show those memes of him riding that Russian bear with his shirt off.
Oh, yeah.
Rambo, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, I can add to what Cody said about the Vaughn thing. Maybe if Cody could repeat again the importance of the name Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Texas floods last month were connected to, of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan, who died in a crash and there you go again, more markets a market crash. Stevie Ray Vaughan died in Wisconsin. So he was born in Texas, died in Wisconsin, and now we have the floods back-to-back months in Texas and then Wisconsin, and then the Brewers. Right after the Texas floods, the Brewers signed or brought up Vaughn, and Vaughn became their best hitter, and now he's leading into a 9-game winning streak as the Milwaukee floods have taken place. So it's kind of, and Derek covered that in his video. He's been on that. I'm just sharing Derek's finds, really, with the Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff, but that was the gist of the Vaughn stuff. And there was another player that played for the Brewers back in the day named Vaughn also, Greg Vaughn. So.
Yeah, well, the reason I was bringing it up was AJ already jumped ahead. Again,
I didn't steal your thunder. I was
No.
setting it up for you.
You're like, we were in the huddle. The play was for me. The quarterback threw it to me. I wide open. You ran in. Intercepted. You intercepted the pass was meant for me. Like,
hey, but we still scored the touchdown, didn't we? We still scored, right?
yeah, you say that it's a team game, but yeah, I mean, you say that now, but after you got the touchdown. But yeah, I just think, but that's what. So I mean, so AJ knew where. Not saying we had some history with this with AJ on the occult rejects. Yeah. But yeah, so AJ knew where I was going with this. I was going to have you talk about Von, so I could set it up and say, well, Von Miller ties into the Miller theme because he was the MVP of Super Bowl 50 in Santa Clara, San Francisco. Will be another Super Bowl later. And I was explaining how the Miller is relevant because Back to the Future 1 told you who will be in Super Bowl in Santa Clara because they had the character Clara, and they had the Twin Panthers on the clock. That was the Panthers. They had only one football reference in the entire movie. That's right in the opening credits. There's a Denver Broncos helmet, and with the Miller truck, they told you who would win because the MVP comes from the winning team. They gave you the Panthers. Well, they gave you San Francisco, Santa Clara. They gave you that, and they gave you the Panthers. They gave you the Broncos, and they gave you the MVP. They gave you Miller. And the thing about Von Miller, the Von name, is his birthday, March 26th, which is the birthday of Biff Tannen. So Von Miller not only, was he, predictive programming with him and the Miller truck, but he has Biff Tannen's birthday, March 26th. And the thing is, so Biff Tannen was born in 1937. So how old is he now? How old will he be? At the next Super Bowl in Santa Clara, he'll be 88 years old. So yeah, so that was the Vaughn connection that I had.
You know what it was, Rambo? I was throwing you an alley-oop pass from half court, and then the ball went into the hoop, and I scored a 3-pointer.
Yeah, well, an alley that's the worst alley-oop you've ever been thrown. Like it shouldn't be entering. Alley-oop's supposed to be thrown away from the rim.
But I made a 3-pointer. And we won, so
yeah, it's a team game, right? You're right. It's a team game. You always end up with the glory bit. It's a team game. But no, so
hey, we won. Okay, we won.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. You guys are cracking me up over here.
So I do have something. Remember, I said I had a little presentation on something that's tied in a lot of my deep.
Yes, sir.
With the Back to the Future guitar thing.
Yeah, I'll just wait for your request as we get that. Sorry, guys, I'm crying laughing. Oh, man. I can't help myself, Rambo. I'm sorry, man.
No. Yeah, the funny thing is it happened a second time because it happened on Occult Rejects.
But I didn't even interrupt you this time. I set the stage for you.
I'm trying to be a surprise for the audience. You're trying to see the audience.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're good. Rambo, you have the floor. I'm gonna mute my mic.
All right. Okay. Well, so this is this came out last week, and it brings together a lot of decodes that I have been doing, and it all brings them together. And I'm kind of vindicated on one because one was kind of a stretch on my part, but I find out I wasn't a stretch after all. So we've talked about Lost to the Future, which is a Gibson guitar ad campaign. Now, I was already on Back to the Future at the beginning of the year, especially after, this was in February, Michael Jordan's son had his car stuck on the train tracks in Florida. That was on February 2nd. No, I'm sorry, February 4th. For 4th February, 4/2. That's Gematria of Saturn. So Michael Jordan's son Marcus, wearing the original Air Jordans, because Air Jordan is in its 40th anniversary. There was a tribute at the Super Bowl to Air Jordan with Jalen Hurts, the winning quarterback, wearing Air Jordan 1s in Bulls colors, not even in Eagles colors, but in Bulls colors. So of course it's a 40th anniversary of Air Jordan. So naturally, Jalen Hurts wearing the Jordans puts up 40 points. Michael Jordan turned 62 in 2025. So of course the total number of points scored at Super Bowl was 62. 44-22, all a Jordan tribute. Well, shortly before the Super Bowl, this is Michael Jordan's son's Lamborghini stuck on train tracks. One of my patrons told me about it, and as soon as I heard about it, This is a reference to Back to the Future 3 with the car, the DeLorean car that was pushed by a locomotive to 88 miles an hour. This is a Back to the Future reference. I knew it right away. So I was validated later in the year in June, since I've been talking about Back to the Future being relevant in 2025, when Gibson Guitar decided to do an ad campaign with Back to the Future called Lost to the Future, where they state that the Gibson guitar from 1985 that was used in the movie had gone missing since the movie was made, and that there's this big search for where is the Gibson guitar from Back to the Future. It has not been seen since 1985. So that happened in June. And the guitar is famous because of this scene at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance in Back to the Future in the first installment, where Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly plays. He has to take the place of the fictional cousin of Chuck Berry. It's a Marvin Berry. This is his band. And so Michael J. Fox takes his place and plays the red Gibson guitar, because Chuck Berry did actually play a genuine red Gibson guitar. So Gibson has, in conjunction with Back to the Future, has capitalized on this. But there's another, and Saturn is 88. This is in the Elizabethan ciphers. The Elizabethan ciphers are still used today, even though it's the Elizabethan alphabet. These are introduced by Francis Bacon, very important figure. He wrote the King James Bible, and one of those who wrote the works of William Shakespeare. There's multiple people, but Francis Bacon was a major one. So in the Elizabethan ciphers, so Francis Bacon ciphers, 88 is Saturn. Very relevant.
Hey, Rambo, did you know that Doc Brown equals 88 in that cipher? I think.
Yeah, I think I have, because I came with a bunch of 88s. I don't remember all of them, but I might have. But yeah, that's a good addition, just to stress the importance of and relevance of the Francis Bacon ciphers. Very important figure. So I did do another decode called When Saturn Ruled the World. This is a reference to a theory by Immanuel Velikovsky, and in modern times, David Talbot, who's done his research based on the work of Immanuel Velikovsky, who says that Saturn used to be Earth's sun. It was directly above Earth, and it was closer to Earth. And that was based on multiple things. And one of the things is every single culture, ancient culture around the world, without exception, every single part of the culture, every continent, they have these depictions of the sky, of the Earth's sky, and it all looks the same. And there's several, depictions. And it's amazing that science has not addressed that. Well, they feel that these are clues to how the sky used to be aligned. So there's Saturn, and Mars was between Earth and Saturn, but Venus lodged like a comet, came in like a comet and lodged between Saturn and Mars. And then Venus would shoot 8 streamers of light onto the body of Saturn. And so Earth's sky looked like it had its giant 8-spoked wheel in the sky. And that is depicted in many cultures. So that 8-spoked wheel in the sky is directly related to Saturn. And I did a decoder on that. I titled it When Saturn Ruled the World. And this is when I talked about the Big Dipper that KODI just talked about. So the location of Saturn, hypothetically, was at Polaris. Polaris is the North Star. And right now, the stars rotate around Polaris as the axis point. Of course, they rotate slowly. You don't notice them rotating. But that is the point around which in the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, you can't see Polaris. In the northern hemisphere, it's Polaris. It's the only place you can see it is the north. You can't see Polaris in Australia, but the stars move around Polaris, and Polaris. So this is where Saturn used to be located, and the stars used to rotate around Saturn. And Polaris is in the constellation of Ursa Minor, which is the little bear. So what a coincidence then that the Boston Bruins are called Bruins, which is bear, and have an 8-spoked wheel logo. What are they telling? The Boston Bruins are telling you that. The NHL is telling you that. This is how they code some of these hidden truths. I'm under the impression that there is some reality to this, that the cosmos were aligned differently. There's your 8-spoke wheel. And there's your Bruins reference. It's Ursa Minor, where Saturn used to be located. And this explains why Michael J. Fox was so closely associated with Back to the Future. And thanks to KODI told me about this. I didn't know what happened about the Boston Bruins doing a shirt release, a new uniform release, which included Michael J. Fox, who's very close friends with, I think he's an all-time great with the Boston Bruins. I think his title is president of the Boston Bruins, Cam Neely. He was in this commercial. This is a headline from Sports Illustrated. Again, KODI, you brought my attention to this. And again, it validated the work I've been doing about the relevance of Back to the Future in 2025. Bruins call Back to the Future star Michael J. Fox to help reveal new uniforms. And so this was Saturn. That's what this wheel is, Saturn, when it was located at the location of Polaris, which is in the Small Bear. That's why they're the Bruins. This is Saturn. And this is why Michael J. Fox is associated with them, because he's known for the time travel movie, and Saturn is the ruler of time. And so in my video, I said that the song by Coldplay, released in 2008, sorry. Yeah, further back than that, called Viva La Vida. I looked at the lyrics. So this is, I thought, maybe a little bit of, I think it was much of a stretch, but it was just a theory on my part that the song Viva La Vida was actually about that Saturn alignment. So like I said in the title of my video, when Saturn ruled the world. Well, those are along the lines of the lyrics of Viva La Vida. And Viva La Vida is about a former ruler of the world who lost his position, who's no longer the ruler of the world. And I said, just looking at the lyrics, I think that's about Saturn, when Saturn used to be. Now, that's not the official story from Coldplay. Coldplay doesn't mention anything about Saturn. Coldplay says that the song Viva La Vida is about the French Revolution and the French aristocrats who lost their position after the French Revolution. They don't always tell you the truth. I don't believe him. Maybe it has two meanings. They can always have multiple meanings to things. So he's not necessarily lying. He's just not telling you about the other meaning. So Coldplay, I brought them up. They weren't really in the news. But this is just a reference I had to when Saturn, it says, in Roman mythology, Saturn indeed often referred to as the father of kings or father of gods. So Saturn did used to be, even in Rome, viewed as the chief deity, and it was replaced by Jupiter. And in mythology, you talk about the war in the heavens between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter became the chief god of Rome. It replaced Saturn. Not many people know that Saturn used to be. That was a very long time ago. So there's Saturn losing its status on multiple levels. And I did do another decode about the death of Diogo Jota, who played for Liverpool Football Club. And Liverpool are most famous for the Beatles. And I did make a comparison between Diogo Jota and Paul McCartney, because there's a very strong and I think extremely credible and most likely theory that the Paul McCartney you see now is not the original Paul McCartney. He's somebody named Billy Shears or Billy Campbell, William Campbell, the different names for him. That's who's the real Paul McCartney, right? Not the real Paul McCartney. That's the present Paul McCartney. The real Paul McCartney very likely died in 1966. And I think
if I can say, Rambo, really quick about the Billy Shears thing, there actually is a song that the Beatles did after that whole car crash with Paul McCartney, where man, it's been a long time since I looked into it. I don't want to get you too off track, but they did a song after the fact when Paul McCartney came back, and they said something like, and I'm going to introduce you to the one and only Billy Shears. And everyone points to Paul McCartney in the middle of their set. Like they're like kind of making a joke about it, but I'm just going to leave it there. I wanted to throw that in there.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, the Beatles do have many clues about Paul McCartney's death. Now, what many people who just really can't wrap their head around conspiracies, that people in positions of power and influence in the world would actually abuse that position of power and influence to deceive the public. The majority of human beings cannot wrap their heads around that. I personally can't wrap my head around the fact that they can't wrap their heads around that they're that naive. Nonetheless, they have plenty of clues, and the general belief for those who see the clues is now they're just doing it to promote the Beatles. There's I think it's credible. I don't think this is the real Paul McCartney, and the real Paul McCartney, and a lot ties into the whole Ozzy Osbourne thing, how he bit the head off the bat, and that's actually in my latest decode. I talk about the decapitation of the head. That's a John the Baptist reference. John the Baptist was beheaded. They believe that in the Paul McCartney crash in 1966, and it was so severe that his head was actually severed from his body. And that's actually.
Do you remember? Sorry, really quick. Do you remember the actual date? We had Farming from Scratch. Shout out to Farming from Scratch who called in last week. Just asking. Do you know the date of the crash? Or I'm sure I could.
All right. So this is the thing. So there's a discrepancy between the way the United States writes dates and the rest of the world and Britain writes dates. Where they write over here, we write the month, then the day. Around the world, and in Britain, they write the day first, then the month. So he died on 9/11/1966. So there doesn't seem to be an agreement between, is that September 11th, 1966 or 9th November 1966. I suspect it's 9th November, but it's a 9/11. Because many people think it's September 11th, but it's 9/11/1966, which I find they put little clues. So for those who follow Premier League football, there's an important player from Liverpool because he's born and raised in Liverpool. And with these top teams, you rarely get a player from the town. You get the best players from around the world. It's rare that a player from that city makes it to the big leagues, but they do. He's a player named Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I find it very interesting that he chose number 66. No soccer player, football player ever wears that number. Nobody wears it. There's no history of anyone wearing 66. That's a number you give to a player on your youth team who doesn't make the first team. Like when a youth team player, you get these exotic numbers. I think that's I think it's a reference to the year Paul McCartney died. I really do think that. And he's not with Liverpool anymore. It's a big scandal. It's not really a scandal, but he moved to Real Madrid. Trent Alexander-Arnold, number 66. There are many ways they put clues. And now a Liverpool player dies in a car crash. Diogo Jota. Well, I tied it into Paul McCartney in several ways. So, and McCartney's not really in the news. So guitar world, and they're not the only ones who address this. So this is what ties this all in. This happened last week. I came across a Guitar World article, and this is what they announced. This is regarding the Lost to the Future campaign by Gibson. This is the headline. We've had to bring in some help. This is from Guitar World. Gibson hires the investigative journalists who helped find Paul McCartney's lost Hofner violin bass to aid in the hunt for the missing Back to the Future ES-345.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. I had no idea.
Oh my God.
I had no idea they had done this ritual with Paul McCartney, and I had no idea. But you see how now they're doing it. It's not me. You can say, oh, look at Rambo tying in Paul McCartney to Diogo Jota of Liverpool just because he played in the same city as Liverpool. Yeah, I can hand out some people from their perspective. I'm just being very creative. They're making the link with Paul McCartney, not me. And this was done last week. I didn't even know about this. They had done and this is Hofner, which makes guitars and violins. They had done a campaign where Paul McCartney's they call a violin bass had disappeared. And then they brought in, apparently, this is part of the whole thing. I mean, it wasn't legitimate, lost. I don't really understand. You take this with a grain of salt. It's a publicity thing. There were two investigative journalists, apparently, who cracked the case of the Paul McCartney Hofner violin, and they found it. So they're bringing in these two investigative journalists who cracked the lost Paul McCartney guitar to help in the Back to the Future. This is the latest update from last week, the Lost to the Future. So Paul McCartney is relevant, but I had talked about Paul McCartney, so apparently I'm validated on at least on that anyway. He's relevant in 2025, the real Paul McCartney. So this is okay. This is from the article. The guitar was borrowed, meaning the original guitar used in Back to the Future, from Norman's Rare Guitars, which is a real place, for use in the film's legendary Enchantment Under the Sea dance scene. The ES-345 was wielded by Michael J. Fox's Marty McFly to shred Johnny B. Good in front of a shell-shocked audience and inspired John Mayer and Coldplay's Chris Martin. I talked about Coldplay. Coldplay is relevant. I had no idea.
Well, Coldplay's been in the news recently too, right? In the year 2025 with that whole scandal, right? The whole whatever. Sorry,
Right. And all that came out after I talked about Coldplay and Viva La Vida. When I talked about Coldplay and Viva La Vida, Coldplay was not in the news.
And then it became the running headline for like a week.
Yes. So at a Coldplay concert, there's a CEO of a company was in the audience watching a Coldplay concert. I believe that was Los Angeles, and he was with a work colleague who he was cheating on. They were being very affectionate towards each other in the crowd. And they do this at sports venues in the United States. They have what's called a kiss cam, where when it focuses on a couple, they have to kiss. So the kiss cam randomly, quote unquote, randomly, focuses on this CEO who was cheating on his wife at the concert, a Coldplay concert. And yeah, they've done a lot on that. That's exploded. But this is the thing. I had already talked about Coldplay. The reason I talked about Coldplay is because of their song Viva La Vida, based on the lyrics of Viva La Vida, which to me appear to refer to Saturn, when Saturn was Earth's sun, was closer to Earth, and was located at Polaris. And then Saturn got dethroned. And I said, and we're talking about the Boston Bruins using Back to the Future, and their logo is Saturn. Bruins, the little bear, where Saturn used to be located. And that's why I looked at I just remembered it, actually, just from memory, from knowing the song. It clicked in my head. I said, you know what? So that's what Viva La Vida must be about. The chorus is "When I Ruled the World." I said, they're talking about Saturn. So after I did that, Coldplay is in the news. But it turns out that Coldplay is connected to Back to the Future. And they say it in this guitar thing. John Mayer and Coldplay's Chris Martin pick up it inspired them to pick up the guitar. So this is Viva La Vida, just to give an idea of the lyrics of Viva La Vida from 2008.
I used to rule the world. Should I sing the whole thing?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Back to you, Rambo. Back to you.
Okay. So I put you on the spot. I called your bluff there. No, but no, yeah, I mean, so yeah, I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning, I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen to the crowd as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead. Long live the king. That's what they say in Britain when the monarch dies. Usually it's a king. So they'll say the king is dead. Long live the king. It means the king just died. Long live the new king. So what happened recently, you had a queen. So they say the queen is dead. Long live the king. That means the queen is dead. Long live King Charles. So this is a tradition in Britain. The king is dead. Long live the king. So Saturn is the king. The new king could either be the sun we have now, or Jupiter. That's the new king.
And just to add to this, while we're on the King Charles thing, I've been super deep into the king and queen royal family stuff for the last week. Been trying to put a lot of pieces together, and just on this note, Charles III equals Saturn in Gematria, and he's a big part of this right now because as I mentioned, WWE is about ready to have that show in France, and that's on the anniversary of his ex-wife's crash. And I've been trying to find all kinds of themes connected with King Charles, and funny enough, his middle name is Arthur, and Arthur means bear.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So,
wow.
Or bear man or something bear. But yeah, it goes back to the bear again. And if you look it up, right, they say because King Arthur, or because King Charles' name is Bear, he descends from, if you look it up, it will say that he descends from the bear or the bear line, something like that. I can't remember now exactly what, but there's definitely a connection there with him, the king, the bear. And yeah, I mean, with what I've been finding with the king stuff, there's so much to talk about with that, but I'm definitely this song that you have up right now seems to fit in with it. I didn't even think about this song until you brought it up, but the Coldplay thing that just happened, I'm sure this is involved. And just don't forget, all the stuff I talked about with Cody Rhodes being a huge symbol for King Charles, and Cody Rhodes is the champion of WWE right now, and there's so much King stuff going, and we had no King's Day back in June, which I just feel like is so connected to this as well, because like no Kings, and just how we had all this stuff leading into that with Trump and the King, and Revelation 9:11 mentions the Abaddon, the king over them. So that's what I wanted to add. Another thing I wanted to say about the Boston Bruins is the Boston Bruins symbol looks like the Bitcoin logo, and Bitcoin is created by Satoshi, Saturn, Satoshi Nakamoto. So Saturn created Bitcoin, essentially. Satoshi is a made-up character. He's not a real person. It's probably the CIA going under that name, but that's what they give the name of that guy. And so his name is Satoshi. He made Bitcoin with the B. If you look at it, it's the same symbol. It just doesn't have the spokes behind it. I mean, it's just the B in a circle. That's what it is. So, and then what else did I want to say? I got a laugh out of the other artists they mentioned there with the Back to the Future, John Mayer, because I have a crush on John Mayer. Well, not a physical crush, but on his music for like years. John Mayer is if you ask everyone around me, who's the guy I go to when I'm bored and I want to listen to music, it's John Mayer.
Your body is
he plays
a wonderland.
with the Grateful Dead now. What's that, AJ?
You curl up in bed and you listen to Your Body is a Wonderland.
That's actually my least favorite song, to be honest. But yeah, I mean,
I'm sure it is, Cody. I'm sure.
But
I'm just joshing, bro.
No, I get. That's a good one, because that's probably what a lot of people think of when they think of John Mayer. That's his most famous song, is "A Body Is a Wonderland." But
we're gonna decode "Your Body Is a Wonderland" next week, you guys.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, what's crazy about that is, like, I've never decoded John Mayer, but there's definitely a lot to it. He plays for the Grateful Dead now, or he plays with the Grateful Dead.
What?
So he took over Jerry Garcia's.
Dead and Body, which is a theme in wrestling too. Jesse the Body Ventura.
Right. Yeah.
The Undertaker.
Yeah, I think I should do a John Mayer decode at some point, just to whet my appetite on all that stuff with him. But like that was the one thing about him, is that the Grateful Dead is tied to Ripple. I talked about that, the song Ripple, and the fact that he plays with the Grateful Dead now just seems super important, because the Grateful Dead is the ones who did Ripple, and then that's where that's where Ripple's based out of. And here's another funny, just organic connection. My first song I ever wrote, like when I was first learning to play and write songs, was called Still Waters. And it's just so funny, because the Ripple song, which I didn't find until years later. I mean, I wrote this well before I was even a John Mayer fan. I wasn't even a John Mayer fan when I wrote this, but it ends up that he ends up being the guitar player for the Grateful Dead, who did a song called Ripple, and in that song, it talks about still waters. Like it's just so funny how it all comes back around with that. But that's just organic, off topic. But I think that's all I wanted to mention going along with. But Rambo, did you notice that the clock stopped on the countdown for this guitar thing though? I still haven't figured out if they found it, or because they stopped the clock, and we've gotten no news on why they stopped the clock.
Well, when I took the screenshot for this, it's just a screenshot, but it was counting down. It was moving. The clock was moving. So this is where it was. It's, 2 months, 9 days, 2 hours, 57. It was moving down. When I took the screenshot, it stopped at 40 seconds, but it was counting down. It was moving.
Oh, Well, why? I have a video where we clearly showed, like on live, that it had stopped. At least I think I did. So I'm wondering, why did it stop for like? Because I checked it like maybe a week ago. Still, it was like maybe 2 weeks ago that I was on a live stream and somebody had informed me that it wasn't moving, and then it was on Ozzy's birthday. I think it was on my Ozzy decode that I was live, and somebody told me it stopped, and then I looked and I was like, yeah, it stopped. So now it started up again. What the heck?
Yeah. I guess you got to watch these things every day. Well, I got this update on. I'm glad I did. I guess you got to keep an eye on this thing. The fact that they've brought in these people to investigate, and they were involved in Paul McCartney's Hofner violin bass. So this is not their first rodeo. They've done this with Paul McCartney, which I had no idea until last week when I saw this about Paul McCartney. So, yeah, I talked about Paul McCartney. I talked about Coldplay. They weren't in the news, and now they are. Viva la vida. So, it is about Saturn. Again, so symbols, allegories, they can have multiple meanings. It can be about what he said, which is what Coldplay, they say it's the French Revolution. It can also be about Saturn. That's more occulted. Of course, the Boston Bruins aren't going to tell you what their logo is, why they call themselves the Bruins, but you see how it all fits together. And so, yeah, Rolling Stone did an article on how Chris Martin, the lead singer of Coldplay, Chris Martin says Back to the Future inspired him to start Coldplay. And it goes further than that, because in 2016, at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, home of the New York Giants and New York Jets of the National Football League, they had Michael J. Fox. Coldplay had a concert where they had Michael J. Fox come onto the stage and perform with Coldplay. So it's not just he inspired them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this is watch. This is from app.com, or you can just look it up and get it anywhere. I just got this. This is one example. You can find this all over. Watch Michael J. Fox performs with Coldplay, and he's performed with them several times after that as well.
And where was SummerSlam just at? SummerSlam was literally last week on Tisha B'Av. It was in the same stadium.
At MetLife.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're using MetLife for a lot of stuff. They just had the inaugural Club World Cup of soccer. Soccer World Cup is for national teams every 4 years. So now they've expanded it. They're doing that with every sport, more games, and year round. Players don't rest. They had the inaugural Club World Cup, and MetLife had most of the games. They had both semifinals, and they had the final, the Club World Cup, where Donald Trump showed up and he made a scene. So yeah, MetLife. So yeah, they're using MetLife in New Jersey. I'm pretty sure it's on a ley line. Some ley line energy has to be going into that. They're using MetLife Stadium a lot. So yeah, Michael J. Fox, he showed up on stage with Coldplay at MetLife. Yeah, so here's the article about it. Like, he has played them again after this, but here's a quote from the article. Coldplay went Back to the Future with the help of Michael J. Fox. This was on Sunday, July 17th. That's in 2016 at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. The Brit rockers, who began their Head Full of Dreams. So again, there's dreams. That's another theme you can go on, which they talk about. What does Back to the Future start with? When he arrives in 1955, what's the song playing when the Miller truck is in the background? Mr. Sandman. What are the lyrics? Mr. Sandman, send me a dream. So that ties into Coldplay. Their tour was called Head Full of Dreams Tour. And he performed Earth Angel and Johnny B. Good with Coldplay on stage. July 17th, 2016. 2016 was a leap year. So this is really significant. In a leap year, July 17th is the 199th day of the year. And I talked about this. Paul McCartney has a gematria of 199. This is in reverse ordinal. They picked the 199th day of the year consciously for this reason. It was in my decode with Paul McCartney and Diogo Jota. Paul McCartney's 199. And just to remember, Diogo Jota, the Liverpool player who died on the anniversary of Back to the Future, July 3rd, he was signed by Liverpool Football Club on 199, 19th September. That's when he signed with Liverpool. And he's tied into Paul McCartney. So this Paul McCartney statue is interesting in Liverpool. This statue was unveiled December 14th, which I believe was in 2015. December 14th is Diogo Jota's birthday. This statue was unveiled in Liverpool. He didn't play for Liverpool at the time. It was 5 years before he signed for Liverpool. It was unveiled on Diogo Jota's birthday. But in this statue, Paul McCartney, in this community, we should all know what this is. It's the hidden hand. It's a Freemasonic symbol. We call it the hidden hand informally, is what we call it. Many people throughout history have been portrayed. George Washington did the hidden hand. Joseph Stalin has been portrayed during the hidden hand. Karl Marx, Napoleon.
Pope Francis.
Pope Francis, very famously, which is very significant that Pope Francis did, yes, on multiple occasions. Former president of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, has done the hidden hand.
Anthony
Fauci did the hidden hand. Napoleon lost at Waterloo, which is directly, I did a decode called Waterloo, which is tied into finances. When Napoleon lost Waterloo, the Battle of Waterloo, that's the end of the Napoleonic Empire. He lost to the British and coalition forces, which were led by Wellington. Wellington did the hidden hand. So you had Wellington leading forces against Napoleon, but they both did the hidden hand. What does that tell you? Whoever they're answering to a higher authority. They're doing the same symbol, but that's who's pretty much running the show. So did Wellington really defeat Napoleon in an even matchup? Like, I mean, if you believe that, then you probably believe the sports are real. To me, it sounds like the Battle of Waterloo was rigged by the hidden hand, and we can just, it's up to us to speculate who that hidden hand is. Well, anyway, Paul McCartney in the statue.
Rambo, can I, since we're talking about the hidden hand, the one thing I just want to emphasize is that, because it's been a really long time since I've been down that rabbit hole about Paul McCartney being Billy Shears, but for me, the biggest thing that I thought was so crazy, and people could just brush it off and be like, oh, well, he can play guitar both ways, right? But the whole thing was he was either right-handed playing the guitar before the crash, and then once he came back, forever since, he's lefty. And Billy Shears was recruited technically by a Beatles lookalike, contest, yeah. Right? But Billy Shears was left-handed or right-handed, and Paul McCartney was the other way. And so, like, that was the one thing where I was like, holy smokes. So, like, just referencing the hand, I was kind of holding off on that because I don't know if you had that in your presentation.
Oh yeah, you've done a lot of work on the hand. Like I said, there's so many ways we can branch off. There's the dream theme, there's the hand, so many elements go into rituals,
right? So
like you could do a 10-hour decode branching off on all the, so yes, the hand is very much, and yeah, you've done extensive work on the hand. And again, how does this tie into your hand work? Remember you talked about Happy Gilmore and the character that Carl Weathers played, how he had a wooden hand because the hand was bitten off. And what is the famous logo in Happy Gilmore that the star Adam Sandler wears? The Boston Bruins. Yeah, you see how you can branch off the hand, but also bring you back to the same theme.
And remember, Chubbs, that was his name, Chubbs Peterson, who he got his hand bitten off by an alligator. I wrote that book, and that was after Bob Barker and Carl Weathers died. Then right after that, you had Joe Flattery, who died. He was another big character in that movie. Then they released the announcement of they're making Happy Gilmore 2. My book also had Travis Kelce's hand injury. We talked about how it was tied into the Sea of Hands play back in the day, et cetera, et cetera. But who ended up winning the college basketball tournament the next year? The Gators. You know what I mean? It was almost like the cherry on top. Right after that, then they released Happy Gilmore 2. So, anyways, I don't want to go down a different,
No, but you see how they all tie in. The hidden hand, the hand of Carl Weathers, Happy Gilmore, and the Boston Bruins logo. So you do branch off, but it's amazing how you still come back full circle. Isn't that amazing?
It's a boomerang.
Especially with the full circle, the wheel. So yeah, so we got on 199 because it was on the 199th day of the year that Michael J. Fox got on stage with Coldplay. the 199th day of the year. Paul McCartney's 199. He did the hidden hand. Diogo Jota signed for Liverpool on 199. 19th September. Hidden hand and Paul McCartney both sums to 199.
Wow.
Yeah, that was actually in my decode. If anyone hasn't seen it, this is the thumbnail for the decode. So my point is these things come together. I did these decodes separately, but this one story brings everything together. Paul McCartney's, there's a lost guitar that he had, which I didn't even know about. And I'd already talked about Paul McCartney. Now I see, he really is even more relevant than even I realized. So this is the decode I did. It was, I think I know this is subtitles here. They didn't actually have a title here, but it's Liverpool and the Wheel Symbolism. It's Paul McCartney, Diogo Jota. That's what the thumbnail looks like. You can see it on my Patreon, patreon.com/thetruthcodes. I did an Instagram post. You can go on Instagram. I'll see I did a post, a shorter 3-minute video. Post on Instagram as well on that. Hidden hand 199, the 199th day of the year. Now, so we go full circle. What is the 199th prime number? It's 1217. What is 1217 as a date? It's December 17th. You know the significance of December 17th? It is Saturnalia, the ancient Roman annual celebration of Saturn, which used to be the chief deity of Rome before it was replaced by Jupiter. Saturn lost out, but Saturnalia starts on December 17th, which is actually the root of Christmas. The modern day Christmas starts with Saturnalia. It is influenced by Saturnalia. December 17th, 1217, which is the 199th prime. And why are we talking about Saturn? Because it's the wheel in the sky, which Boston Bruins, Back to the Future, Coldplay. So this confirms, I believe, so it was just a theory to me. To me, this confirms that Coldplay's Viva La Vida is about Saturn being replaced. The former king that gets replaced. I used to rule the world. Viva La Vida by Coldplay is about Saturn. I can now say that with certainty. So I'm going back to the Cam Neely, Back to the Future, Boston Bruins ad with Michael J. Fox. Cam Neely wore jersey number 8. Michael J. Fox attended his jersey retirement. So he has his framed picture. I think now he's the president of the Boston Bruins, but he has these framed pictures of his jerseys. But look at how the jerseys are placed. The sleeves are folded. So the 8 on the sleeves and the 8 on the back of the jersey has an 888. Both of them. So you see it's 888. 888 is a gematria of time traveler. And there's time travel in the ad. It's Michael J. Fox and I think it's Charlie McAvoy is the modern day player who shows up in that ad. It's about he time travels from the future. Time traveler is 888. So isn't it interesting? There's 888 in that. So this article came from Guitar World. Guitar World is 888.
Oh my God, man.
Yep. And that's the Cam Neely thing. Emmett Brown is 888. Doc Brown.
Jeez, this is all the same cipher too, right?
Yeah, this is all Sumerian.
Yeah.
Which is and Sumerian is relevant. The ancient Sumerians, they had a symbol of the wheel with the 8 spokes. Ancient Sumerians had that very symbol, as did every culture around the world.
And the B pretty much resembles an 8. I mean, is there any other letter in the alphabet that better resembles an 8 than the B? I don't think so.
Now, remember back to the beginning, we talked about that was Ozzy Osbourne's final performance right before he died. That was at his home. So he's from, they pronounce it Birmingham. That's the original Birmingham in England. Americans say Birmingham. But Birmingham, Alabama, is named after Birmingham in England. That's Ozzy Osbourne's hometown. He comes from the neighborhood in Birmingham. It's the second biggest city in England. So he's specifically from the neighborhood of Aston. And they have a Premier League team who's called Aston Villa. His final concert was, he even wore an Aston Villa jersey. But his final performance, Ozzy Osbourne, was at the home of Aston Villa, which is his home neighborhood team, Villa Park. Villa Park is their home stadium. Now, I want to shout out one of my patrons, because one of my patrons lives in England. His name is Seun. I just spoke to him. I had the pleasure of speaking to him. He's from England. Seun was actually at Villa Park a few days after this very venue, a few days after Ozzy Osbourne performed. So it's a very small world. The number of times I've done decodes and people close to either from the city, and this is around the world, close to the city or know a person involved in the decode, will contact and say, I'm from that city, or I know that person, or my mother knew that person type thing. It's pretty amazing. So he actually was at Villa Park a few days after this performance. This is one of my patrons, which is pretty amazing. And what he said is when he went to Villa Park, he said when he entered, he was hit by the number 188. This is big 188 at Villa Park. And he was there like 3 days after or something for a different concert, because the Premier League season hasn't started yet. They don't have these concerts during the Premier League season. So now's the time to have them. And the 188 is actually part of, so this is from Villa Park, Aston Villa ticket prices and 1888 seats to increase hospitality venue. So I think they're increasing the capacity or something. But this is a big part of Villa Park at the moment, right at the time that Ozzy Osbourne does his final performance at Villa Park. And there's even this shows you a map of the stadium. Then you can see 1888 seats in Villa Park seating plan. So that's a big part of the ritual. And I do have another deco that's out. There's more to the Ozzy Osbourne saga. My patrons have seen it, or some have not seen it. It's my latest. It's a written post. This is just a separate decode. Well, there was an 888 tribute in Major League Baseball. This was on July 31st. And I guess those who follow American sports are familiar with this. On July 31st, the Atlanta Braves played the Cincinnati Reds. And in the 8th inning, this is the 8th inning. This is kind of small. The 8th inning, this is a rare event. The Atlanta Braves scored 8 runs. And then the Cincinnati Reds responded by scoring 8 runs of their own. That was 8 runs by each team in the 8th inning. That was 8-8-8 in the Atlanta Braves Cincinnati Reds game of July 31st. So that a major 888. So 888 is a thing. And this is shout out to another of my patrons. This is Dennis Whitehead Jr. Big shout out. He informed me that the Cincinnati Reds have some players with wheel and car references in their names. Their big star, this is their big superstar. One of the biggest superstars in Major League Baseball is Ellie De La Cruz. Cruz is a car reference. So along with Back to the Future and the, cruise. So you cruise in a car, you cruise in a ship, you have cruising altitude in a plane. But the bigger one, again, this is thanks to Dennis Whitehead Jr. telling me this. They have their first baseman is named Steer. Now they just did the 88 ritual. Where did they play shortly after the 888 ritual? The Cincinnati Reds. They played in. Oh, I don't have a graphic for that. They played in the Speedway Classic. So the Cincinnati Reds played the Atlanta Braves in the Speedway Classic. They played in a location that was designed for automobile racing. In fact, one of the home run celebrations for the Atlanta Braves, if there's video on it, you can see in the dugout, they're miming steering a car in that game. And the Cincinnati Reds are involved. Reds and Braves are involved in both of these. They have a player named Steer. And what is Steer a reference to? Again, the wheel. 888 is the gematria of the cosmic wheel. So isn't that interesting that the two teams who play with a player named Steer and Cruz and had the 888 ritual, 8 runs each in the 8th inning, would end up playing also the first Major League Baseball game in an automobile racing venue. The cosmic wheel is what we come back to. This Saturn thing, this indicates to me they like to code stuff but tell you different things officially. I think that there has to be truth to this thing of Saturn ruling the golden age. And the thing about the golden age that Saturn ruled, there was no money. So no money is not necessarily a bad thing, because money is what is enslaving us. Money is a tool of enslavement. The golden age for humanity is when there was no money. So in that respect, no money is a good thing. That was the golden age. no money is an indication of freedom. Money is used for slavery, and Saturn ruled that golden age. So this whole no money thing, it's not all gloom and doom. There might be a corrective shock, but if there really is a future golden age or an age of Aquarius, money, which is a tool of enslavement, it might be a good thing if it goes away, like it did during the golden age. When you had, okay, so that's the cosmic wheel 888. I'll end it on that. So this is my decode. This is when Saturn ruled the world. There's your cosmic wheel. So this is just the thumbnail for my latest video on the Holy Trinity. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
That's fantastic, Rambo. Yeah, I think it's a good transition to what we talked about offline right before we jumped on about the death of Bob Uecker really quick. You added a very interesting alignment here where, so Bob Uecker, right? We've been talking about Milwaukee, the connections there, home of the Bucks and many other things, but take a look at Bob Uecker, you guys. This is an announcer of the Milwaukee Brewers. Like Cody said, things brewing in Milwaukee. Once again, please make sure to donate to Derek with what he's going through right now with the floods. But my point is here with the no money, right, Rambo? Notice that Bob Uecker, so he was born the same day that Kobe died. Not the same year, but same day. We are in the year of the snake. Think about snake oil salesman. So there's kind of that money connection there. But where did he perish this year? On the 16th day of the year, Me No Money, Falls, Wisconsin. Me No Money. And the Brewers do have a strong gold color alignment there too. Just something to think about as well. But yeah, Cody, where are you at? What are your thoughts? I know we've covered a lot of ground, and I do want to be cognizant of time. We just passed that hour 30-minute mark. So beyond that, I mean, the Me No Money Falls, that's concerning, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I was on mute again, but yeah, I just wanted to say I got to hop off here real soon, but this is a good way to end it because, again, it seems like the Milwaukee thing is continuing to come up, and this guy being in Me No Money, it's literally what it looks like. So I think, I don't know, I think Derek, I have to go back and check Derek's posts on this. He did a whole bunch of work on this, on Bob Uecker. He that was something he talked about in his stream, actually, is two people this year that he really looked up to. Derek said, as a young person, was Hulk Hogan and Bob Uecker, being from Milwaukee. So, and what's funny is I just realized something too. So there's two things. Well, remember Trump, he accepted the candidacy for president in Milwaukee, and that's where Hulk Hogan tore his shirt.
And he was also part of The Apprentice of Money, 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 or in other words, Me No Money, Money, Money.
Yeah, and if you look into the WWE, is going back to Hulk Hogan, the son of Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, he always, his song was, go look up the entrance song of music for Shane McMahon. It's Money, Money, Money. It's that song. That's the song.
Yeah, it's by the OJs.
Yeah, and so yeah, and then remember I told you earlier that the main event, the one where Hulk Hogan predicted the Twin Towers coming down, was in Milwaukee, right? And it was in the Bradley Center. And something interesting I just noticed looking into that, which is now it's now been destroyed, this place, but that opened on October 1st, 88. So we have the 88s again, and it the first game to ever take place there was the Chicago Blackhawks versus the Edmonton Oilers. So now we're going back to Michael J. Fox and the Edmonton thing. That was the first game ever to take place in that Milwaukee stadium, which just later after that would be where Hulk Hogan would predict the Twin Towers in that same stadium It was like I don't remember the days now, but it was not very long after that he was in that stadium predicting the Twin Towers. Yeah, so we got that, and then the Chicago Blackhawks being a part of that also is interesting because they had that's where the Bears play, going back to the Bears stuff. And then don't forget, right now, going into the next NFL season, the Bears are still on, I think, 666 wins all time. They ended the season off on that. As Derek also pointed out, he was onto that riddle. Derek was on the 666 riddle well before anyone last year. I can vouch for him on that. How all the teams could how the Philadelphia Eagles could get to the Super Bowl and be, what was the record? 666 and 666 or something like that. But yeah, I can't remember the exact number. But at any point, I think that it's going to be an interesting year for Chicago in general because of the connection to Pope Leo, the Lions, Tigers, and Bears. And we just had the Lions gate, right, and connected to Sirius, and the Lions player got injured, which I covered, and it was obviously the guy's name equaled Lionsgate portal. The Lions he was hurt, and then they were on the field in a circle, which kind of reminds you of like a portal. Like it just that was a pretty obvious one as well this week.
Well, Cody, I just got to chime in really quick talking about the 666 alignments with the NFL. Don't forget, you guys, that the Philadelphia Eagles are sitting on 665 all-time losses in their franchise. That was why last Super Bowl matchup was very challenging for folks. So I'm just throwing that in there, especially with the city of brotherly love, and all that kind of stuff. So keep in mind that the Eagles are sitting right on that 665.
And who are they playing in the first game of the season? Obviously, they play on the opening night.
I haven't checked, but I know that the second game, I'm pretty sure they're playing the Chiefs. So it'll be a matchup of last year's Super Bowl.
Huh.
So just something to keep in mind, since you were talking about the Bears, another team that's flirting with that 666 franchise loss. Keep an eye out, you guys. That's all I wanted to add.
The Chiefs actually. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, Rambo. I was just gonna say I think that's all I have to add. I gotta jump off real fast here. We got something to do here, but just wanted to give my final thoughts and once again thank everyone for watching, and thanks to AJ and Rambo and everything. So
we appreciate you, Codes. Thank you so much for joining as always.
Yeah, thanks for joining as always. Thanks for contributions.
Yeah, and so thank you guys, and thanks to everyone who also helped out this last day with Derek. And like I said, Derek's become a great friend. So I know I really appreciate it, but I can't even imagine how much Derek appreciates it. So thank you guys for being a great community, and like I said, I'm blessed to be a part of this with everyone in the chat, and also with you two being by my side. It's a big family, and I really appreciate you guys. So that's how I'll leave it off. And thank you guys all for being part of this. So
we love you, Cody. It's all about the love. You know that.
Yep, exactly. The love, the true love, the true brotherly love, not the real love that I think a lot of people
not the love you have for John Mayer.
No, not that.
I knew you'd say that.
Well, you should have beat me to it, Rambo. Come on.
No, I'm not.
That was a missed opportunity for an alley-oop right there.
Exactly. Yep. I took that shot myself. Rambo wasn't involved.
I'm a team player. I'm a real team player. I don't just say.
Hey, I'm Allen Iverson. Give me the ball. Watch what I do with it.
Oh, man.
No, we love you, Cody. Hey, thanks again so much, man. I'm looking forward to next Tuesday.
Yeah. I'll see you guys. See you guys very soon, and have a great day, and everyone in the chat also. So take care.
All right. You too.
Later, Cody. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Now that's funny. I love how this is now a running joke between the two of us.
This is the funniest show so far for me.
Yeah, hey, it's not intentional, Rambo.
That's why it's good, because it's it's not funny if it's planned, if it's scripted.
Well, yeah, exactly. We're not that savvy.
Yeah, but so the thing with the 666, just a reminder that 666 is the sum of all the squares of the magic square of the sun.
Yes.
So 666 is a sun number. I've shown this in several of my decodes, how the Kansas City Chiefs are a sun symbol. Like the chief, the feather headdress of a chief, a Native American chief, is similar. If you look at the shell logo, the red and yellow shell oil logo, it's similar to the headdress of a chief. Red and yellow are the colors of the Chiefs. They were established. They have some. I've shown that there's a version of the Chiefs logo that actually show an Indian chief. But they were established in Leo. The Kansas City Chiefs were established in Leo. The zodiac sign of Leo represents the sun. It's ruled by the sun. So because 666 is such a sun relevant number, it's the magic square of the sun. That against the Chiefs, that actually, which looks like the Super Bowl looks like it could have happened. That's why so many people like looking at stuff like this. I don't know if they were really looking at the 666 sun logo in red and yellow like I was. I mean, most people weren't really looking at that, but yeah, if they didn't do it the first time, I imagine this might be the next go round where. And this time Hulk Hogan has passed away. Hulk Hogan had the red and yellow. He's a Leo. He's the sun. He's 666.
Right.
This might be the time for the Eagles to get their 666 loss against the sun symbol. I'm not advising people to bet on my picks. Like you've done really well, AJ, with picks. I mean, I'd advise people to go by your picks. I'm not a sports pick channel. But to me, just the symbolism looks ripe for the 666 loss to come against the Chiefs, according to the symbolism. But again, we saw it before and it didn't happen, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Rambo. Thank you. A lot of it is attributed to you because, as I pointed out earlier in the stream, you guys will notice with those codes about Hulk Hogan, I just looked at the symbolic connections more so than the numbers. I added one number to all of my codes yesterday, swept the board because it was City of Brotherly Love winning on Hulk Hogan's birthday. Perfect. And the Twin Towers crumbling down in New York on Hulk Hogan's birthday. That was it. Like that was the code. So thank you, Rambo and Cody. Thank you, Cody. I know he's not here anymore right now, but you guys have challenged me to look at more of the symbolic alignments first, knowing that the numbers will always follow. The numbers are important, but when you can see that symbolic alignment, not to mention that, you know, you and I talked about this, Rambo, both LA teams last night played each other, the Dodgers and the Angels. Why does that matter? Because those are the two LA teams near Hollywood, and Hulk Hogan was Hollywood Hogan, right?
Hollywood Hulk Hogan, HHH. H is the 8th letter, 888.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. And 811, 8 times 11 is 88, right? So all of those things. But yeah, so it looks like I was correct here. So first opening game is going to be the Cowboys versus the Eagles. And then, yep, the second game, Rambo, I don't know if September 14th. I was going to say, isn't that Pope Leo's birthday?
There you go, Leo.
Holy,
holy 666. I mean, how can it not happen?
My God, dude. Oh my God.
I've had other can't miss decodes like this, which do miss. But Leo, there you go. It's all about the sun. Leo, 666, the magic square of the sun, red and yellow. Now, again, it could have happened.
God.
Maybe this is why they didn't do it at the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Because it should have happened at the Super Bowl because they had all the symbolism there. But now we have Hogan, the red and yellow Hogan, who's a Leo, haven't died. And then Pope Leo's birthday. How can it not happen?
You know, I'm with you on that. Once again, it's like, do I really need to go into the gematria alignments with divisional records and head-to-head records? I mean, sure, those are things to look into, but sometimes it is as simple as that if you have the knowledge like you do, Rambo. So, yeah, that's Pope Leo's birthday. Pope Leo. Oh, my God. What day of the week is this? September 14th? What is that? I didn't even check. It's going to be on a Sunday, of course. It's going to be
Sunday,
on.
right? Okay, you're finding more. How can that miss? The magic square of the sun is 666. It's the magic square of the sun.
How do the Chiefs not get their revenge on a Sunday on Pope Leo's birthday, where in everything that Rambo's been talking about with Hulk Hogan, who's a Leo, wearing the colors of the Chiefs, etc., etc., etc. I mean, that's the code. That's the code. You know, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's what I love about doing this with you, Rambo, is like there's always something every single week that pops up, and it just blows my mind how like we just, you know, we're just trucking along, and then all of a sudden we like knock into each other and we just find something beautiful, like just instinctively, you know. I don't want this to go on for too much longer. We're at the hour 45-minute mark, but I wouldn't expect you to have anything to show. But you did say that there were some other things that you saw in that, you know, going back to the last mind-blowing moment about Ozzy Osbourne and Elton John with Celebrity Deathmatch. And you said that there were so many other things there. I was just curious if you wanted to kind of close out with a couple other observations. If not, that's fine. We can leave it for the Patreon.
No,
but
we can. So what I'll do is I'll just mention some of the things from my latest decode, which, you know, for patrons.
From the Unholy Trinity, right?
Yeah, so I can't, you know, give away.
Of course not. No.
The whole, because then what would be the point of having a Patreon, right? So
exactly.
So this is all I have to live on, honestly, at the moment, for many complicated reasons. I can share my screen, be a different screen this time.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Meatball says poop, Leo. You know what's funny too, Rambo? I just got to say this while you're pulling it up. I've been talking a lot about how my dog Cooper has been a big part of my year this year, with Cooper DeJean and Cooper Flag in Dallas, right up the road from where I live, blah, blah, blah. But he was born on August 5th, same date as Neil Armstrong, and he's a Leo. You know, so it keeps going. But anyways, yeah, you have the floor, Rambo.
Okay, I'm not sure when
we can see your screen.
I opened up a whole bunch of screens. Okay, I think this is it's Unholy Trinity.
Yes.
It doesn't look like this. This is from like the editing view where it's white.
Right.
It's a much better aesthetic when you see it, when you see the post. It has a dark background, much better aesthetic. But this is So this is the gist of it. Well, the main thing, it's Unholy Trinity. Again, there's so much more to Ozzy Osbourne.
Don't give too much away. Remember, sign up for the Patreon, $5 a month, you guys. What is that per day? It's like pennies to the day, you guys. So sorry.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks. And it's also about the Trinity symbol. It's Unholy Trinity Queen City Brawl. So it's the Queen City. It's Cincinnati. There's a brawl in Cincinnati where there was one woman specifically who was injured. Her name was Holly. And I go into the significance of her name, Holly. We were just talking about Hollywood, Hulk Hogan. And Miss Elizabeth, I talked about that symbolism. It's the same symbolism. It's the Trinity and the destruction of the sacred feminine part of the Trinity. Again, this existed before Christianity, when Babylon had a Trinity. Nimrod, Tammuz, Semiramis was the Holy Spirit. In legend, she was raised by doves. Babylon used, in their Trinity, the dove for the sacred feminine. That was long before Christianity existed. Christianity adopted the dove from the Babylonian Trinity, the Holy Spirit. So it's about a force in the universe. It's not really about the symbolism or feminine or female. No, it's a force of balance in the universe. So what they do is, speaking of 666, is 2 divided by 3 is 2/3 of a Trinity, which is 0.666 when you destroy one part of the Trinity. And most often they will destroy the dove aspect. So in this decode, I talk about Ozzy Osbourne. Now, we all know about him beheading the bat, don't we? What we don't hear about as much, which did happen, which they used to talk about until he beheaded the bat, was the amount of times Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off of live doves. Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off of live doves. And he did it repeatedly. And I get more into that too. I think you have to look at the full Ozzy Osbourne story before you condemn him as this evil man. I think there is another force in his life that was more evil, the people who control him, and it's not him. I think he's a victim. Whose idea was it for him? So I'll just scroll real quick to the, if I can find the graphics to that. So Ozzy Osbourne in 1980 bit the head off of.
Look how much content that there is right here that Rambo has for the patrons. By the way, just look at this. It's amazing. Don't share too much, Rambo.
Right. So you can look this up, and we can look this up when Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off of Live Doves, and he was in the CBS studio, well, headquarters, not studios. He was talking to CBS executives in 1980. This is before Black Sabbath really blew up as a top rock band. And he was there with Sharon Osbourne. There's somebody who's always there. Remember when I said he urinated on the Alamo?
Yep.
In a dress? Whose dress was he wearing? He was wearing Sharon's dress. Yeah. You know why he was wearing Sharon's dress? Ask Sharon herself why he was wearing Sharon's dress. Because Sharon hid his clothes. Sharon hid Ozzy Osbourne's clothes. He had nothing to wear. He put on her dress. And he went and desecrated the Alamo. Before that, in 1980, he showed up at CBS executives' offices and bit the. This is a real dove, and the people are horrified. He bit the head off of live doves. I mean, what the dove symbolism is. It's the Holy Spirit, and he bit the head off of it. And you can see he is kind of grossed out himself, especially on his face. Even he's grossed out. He has a real dove's head in his mouth. You can see blood dripping on his jeans. He really did this, 1980. But in interviews, he did interviews on the incident, and he said, Sharon had the idea that I bring in 2 live doves in my pockets. Sharon's idea, according to Ozzy Osbourne, it was Sharon's dress he wore when he peed on the Alamo. After the Alamo incident, there's a picture of Ozzy Osbourne leaving court, and he's actually exposing himself. He's exposing his genitalia to the camera. You can look that up if you want. Who's right next to him? Sharon is right next to him. I have to go into this. You have to look at Ozzy Osbourne's history before you judge him. And this has to do with beheading. It has to do with John the Baptist, the famous beheading. And John the Baptist, what does a Baptist do? When John the Baptist baptized Jesus, what was he doing? He was instilling the Holy Spirit into Jesus. And what is the symbol of the Holy Spirit? The dove.
The dove, yeah.
And he bit the head off of doves. He's biting the heads off of bats. And that's the symbolism there. This is desecration of John the Baptist and the Holy Spirit, because John the Baptist is associated with the Holy Spirit. So this is dark stuff, but there's one person who's always there when he does this. And I said, that's the real princess of darkness. He's a victim. And look at her background. She comes from money. She was all said. She comes from a rich family. He comes from a gritty working class background. He's more of an everyday person. She comes from money. She comes from the elite. That's your real, it's not about the princess. So I go into that. So I'll talk about the celebrity death match. So the celebrity death match with him and Elton John, it ends with him biting the head off of Elton John. But the key is his name, Elton John, as in John the Baptist.
Yes.
Because so here's the picture. At the end of Celebrity Deathmatch, this is Elton John, headless Elton John. You can see there's the blood in the neck. Yep. And Ozzy Osbourne just bit the head off of Elton John.
And then he's choking, right? Doesn't he? Like he's about to die too because he's choking on his head. Yeah. And then that's when Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, she's giving him the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah.
But he bit the head off of John. Mm-hmm. This is an allusion to the beheading of John the Baptist. So this is what goes into my... And again, John the Baptist instills the Holy Spirit, the dove, which is why they had him bite the head off of a dove. It really did happen. It's not about the bat; it's more about the dove. So that's my article. I'll just show you the thumbnail. Again, I'll leave it on that. But there's so much more to that celebrity death match. That's my decode, which is up on Patreon right now.
Yeah, it's already up. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm definitely going to be reading through that as soon as we sign off. I think that's a perfect little teaser, you guys. So Rambo does this nearly every week. I mean, giving out some free content of what he does. All he's asking for is $5 a month, you guys. So crazy value, the best knowledge, the best insight, the best videos, notes, etc. I've ever seen. So Rambo, I will always tell you that. It's amazing. So please, you guys, give Rambo a shot. The links are in the description. I'm gonna close by sharing this really quick. I don't even know who this guy is, but the Enthused Dream said that, off topic, AJ reminds me of Timothy Alberino. I have no idea who this. Is this the guy from? Is this the guy from? Geez, what's it called? Okay, I think I know who this guy is. I never knew it. Or maybe he looks like, Entourage. Is this the guy from Entourage? No, it's not. It kind of looks like him though. He's an author, researcher, and explorer. I'll have to look into him. But no, that was funny, Enthuse. Thank you for sharing that.
There's a resemblance, especially in those images where you have yourself wearing shades.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really doppelganger.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I'll end it there. Jolin says Rambo rocks.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's one way to put it. Steven, as always, in the chat, throwing in the flames and the doves and the targets, etc. I just want to thank. I'm just going to say this before you close us out, Rambo. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. As always, it's my favorite night of the week. We still got 80 plus people in the chat right now, which is amazing. You guys always continue to add amazing contributions as we have our conversations. It means the world. Please make sure to hit that like button on the way out if you haven't. It really helps with the algorithm. If you guys aren't familiar with my page or are not subscribed, I would sincerely appreciate it as well. And outside of that, Rambo, I'm going to pass it to you as we close it out. Please just remind the viewers where they can find and support you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to it as well. I just want to add just one last thing on the money thing.
Yeah.
People talk about the age of Aquarius and it's this new golden age and this great awakening. And many people will say, I don't see any great awakening. Things actually seem to be getting worse. Yeah. So one of the things that could be related to a great awakening, if there is one, if there wasn't, hypothetically, there'd have to be a big shock to the system, which would be difficult at first. But if this is a great mass awakening, a change in the economic system would lead to a great awakening. You could see in the wake of that, people kind of snapping out of it. Now they're not into the consumerism. Now they're really focusing on what really matters in life, the real substance in life. So something like a big shock to the financial system could lead to a great awakening and people adjusting their perspectives, being more spiritual, being more authentic, being focused on what's more substantive. And this whole consumerism could just go away as a result. And there could be a benefit to that. So again, and I allude to that golden age of Saturn. That is a golden age when there was no money. So this whole changing of the financial system could be a good thing in the long term. It could be a good thing. In theory, it could be a good thing. You could become more spiritual and substantive. Money,
I think that's really profound because in a way, we see where the world is heading, and we see where we're kind of being forced to, spend our money and how to spend it. But along the lines, it could really pave way for people to really kind of go back to the basics, right? About how can we barter and exchange goods and make a living for ourselves outside of the system, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I can't say exactly how it would work, but in theory, money is not, it's not in theory. Money is a tool of enslavement. It is a tool of enslavement.
Right.
And if this Saturnian golden age did exist, it was a golden age because there was no money. You can't be enslaved if there's no money. You need money in order to enslave people. How many people actually are doing a job they love? Very few people. It's very few people are. So I'm saying in theory, this is not gloom and doom. In the long term, things could get better, and this whole consumerism could end, and people will not be focused on the material world, which is temporary, and be more focused on the spirit realm, which is eternal. So that's what I'm saying. The whole money change thing is not transformation. In the long term, is not necessarily a bad thing.
I think that's a beautiful take. Honestly, it's very hard to not think negatively about a lot of things. So I do appreciate that take on it. We're going to close it right now because if we go another minute, we're going to be at 2 hours and 1 minute, and then we're going to have a lot of people skeptical of us. So, yeah, so we'll close it out there. Rambo, I love you like a brother, man. Seriously, I'm so thankful for you. And once again, to the chat, love you guys. Please make sure to follow Rambo the Truth Codes on Patreon. $5 a month. You know, seriously, it's less than a coffee at Starbucks on your way to work. He puts in his entire life into this content and this research. So make sure to give him some love and support. Shout out to KODI. Love you always as well. And until next time, we'll see you guys again next week.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Rambo.
All right.
Later, guys.